Okay, question 3 in the 2013 Elections and Voters essay topics is about age and generational voting. The question is, Obama won a majority in America because he could inspire a generation of young voters by reflecting their values. Cameron failed to win a majority in Britain because he could not. Discuss.
Okay, well the first thing you're going to want to consider with this question is the data that underlies this claim. The question is making quite a strong claim that young voters in both America and Britain in recent elections were electorally decisive, that Obama was able to get a majority in his first election because he managed to inspire a generation of young voters, whereas Cameron failed to win a similar majority in Britain because he could not inspire voters in the same way. That suggests that there should be large and potentially electorally decisive differences in vote choice between younger voters and older voters. So first of all, you're going to want to define where younger voters actually are in the electorate, what sort of age cut-off are you using for that, and secondly you're going to want to look at whether or not there really are these large differences in the choices they made between parties. But also important to remember on this topic is that turnout could be a very relevant factor here as well as vote choice. Younger voters often turn out in different ways and in different numbers to older voters, and that could be very important as a factor here, as well as the particular choice between parties amongst those who showed up at the polls. Now, the second thing to think about here is the definition of the term values. The question makes values very central to the argument here. So you're going to want to think about how you want to define this term and what sort of influence values actually have on voters. What is the mechanism that leads voters' values to affect their choices, number one, but also what is the mechanism that links voters' values to their assessment of party leaders? What does it mean to say that Obama reflected the values of a particular part of the electorate, or that Cameron did not reflect the values of a particular part of the electorate? Is that about a general outlook? Is it about them as an individual, their identity, or is it about the kind of policies that they put forward? The third thing to think about here is alternative explanations. The question emphasises one factor, but we know in political phenomena many factors are always in play. And you're going to want to think about what are the alternative explanations for distinctive behaviour by young voters. For example, economic differences between younger voters and older voters, demographic differences. Younger populations may be more diverse, they may have different social class mixes, different patterns of education. All of these things could be relevant, and when you're putting this question together you're going to have to think about where values fit in with those other factors in terms of their importance, but also in terms of how they interact with each other. It may be that young people's values are different because of their different class, ethnicity, educational backgrounds as well.